Hello, my dear.
Hello, Eva.
Hola, Cristina.
So, we are gonna read my chart today.
Lovely to have you here in my flatmate's bedroom.
And I'm very excited because this girl is an awesome girl. And we met a long time ago, actually.
Yeah, we know each other for quite a long time now. And if I remember correctly, did I organize one of your first gigs at Metelkova?
I think it was actually the second gig ever.
Okay, so in the backup story, Cristina over here is a part of this duo, balans.
Duo / band / trio / always evolving.
Always evolving, always looking for balance. I bet you are my Libra Rising.
I'm gonna find a lot about myself today. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, Eva was one of the first cool people in music industry actually that I met.
So another backup story is that I used to work in music industry.
But do you still find like this as joy?
Well, I'm finding new pieces of joy within the music industry, like interviewing cool musicians and looking at their soul blueprint.
Oh my God.
Maybe that's gonna be like a new thing that I'm gonna stick around in the music industry. Yeah, not go
like interviewing band members.
Exactly. Yeah. We are gonna look at your natal chart. And have you had any experience with this before?
Yeah, as I told you before, like I have my natal horoscope, which a friend of my dad made when I was born, and I read it a few times in my life. You know, like over the period of 20 years. I think I've read it like 4 times or something, and every time I kind of see it in a different way, and it also reflects differently on my opinion of myself.
Absolutely, because
it's really cool.
You know, natal chart interpretations are timeless. And this is also great because when I do chart readings with people, I record I do voice recordings and then I send it to them, so you can basically anytime come back to it and reflect
and analyze
always,
it.
Exactly. And you come with a different mindset from a different space in your life, so you can always find new
this is cool because this is cool. Like every period in your life kind of changes your perspective on life.
Exactly. And so does the chart reading, I think. Yeah, it's really a deep dive. So there's a lot of things said. I will kind of guide you through it and explain things on the way. Cool. The way that I do chart readings is that I love to have interactive conversations, which I know you will not have any problem with.
No.
So anytime you need some extra info on certain aspects,
I can ask you
absolutely just interrupt anytime. Also, if you have any stories to share, any examples to give, I love when people do that. Yeah.
So it's not like I'm just a passive listener. I actually am participating quite actively.
Because I'm not explaining who you are and what you're like, but I'm having a conversation with you about your life.
Okay.
And we're exploring certain topics.
Nice.
So
does it start like in childhood?
Like I said, natal chart is timeless.
Okay.
So it can be really picked up at any time of your life.
Okay.
But there's definitely a lot of childhood information that we can extract, even like past lives. Although I don't work with that closely.
I think I was a bird.
You were a bird. I bet you were a bird.
I love birds. I would like
kind
to
of a bird? I would also like
a flamingo bird.
A flamingo
it's
bird.
Like pink and tall.
I mean, looking at your chart, I would say you could have been a flamingo. This is gonna be great. This is amazing. Today we're doing an overview, so just like looking at your birth charts, just like we go through 12 different houses, look at the planetary positionings, aspects of different planets, and how that is intertwined with the zodiac signs that kind of give the tone to these planets and their expression. We're not gonna go deeply into actual transits that are happening in this exact moment, because that can also kind of influence,
right?
Yeah, like what we feel more drawn to, or what is more, because I believe that, you know, everything is inherently intertwined with each other.
I totally agree.
Yeah, as the micro, so the micro. So it's like whatever's happening around us, it's in some way reflecting inside of us
and affecting. And I don't think, like, I don't consider myself as a religious person.
Okay.
But I think the thing I believe in is like this stream of energy that it just flows. And I think that's what I believe in. So I don't know what I'm...
The stream of energy that flows. I'm gonna sign up to that. I think you put it well. Yes, let's go for that. Astrology is just a reflection and a guidance. It's always up to us. It's always our responsibility how we want to work
then,
with the energy.
Have like
because it's, you know, there's no bad or good in astrology. It's just neutral. It's always up to our level of consciousness of how we work with what is. Okay.
Nice.
So I have your chart over here. And I actually work with 2 different house systems, because when I started studying astrology and I realized there are many different house systems, it was quite overwhelming and I wasn't sure which one I would go to. And then I realized, because my mom fucked up my birth, like my time of birth, and I had a professional reading with the wrong timing.
Oh damn!
Yeah, but it brought me a realization that it actually doesn't matter which house system you use, because there is not a more correct one. So yeah, I incorporate Placidus and whole house system, where the positioning, the cups are a little different. But it just adds a layer of complexity. And I am a Scorpio rising and I love complexity. So why make life easier if you can make it harder? So yes, I will kind of
It's definitely more interesting.
Yeah, I will incorporate both. And again, you know, the golden rule of everything that I always kind of tell people is take what you will, leave what you don't. You don't have to resonate with anything. It's basically, I feel like astrology is a storytelling, essentially. I tell you something and then you kind of move through your body, which is like our biggest wisdom vessel, and just, you know, reflect on it and create your own narrative.
Yeah, and exactly. And probably I will remember things that I find intriguing and forget the ones.
Exactly, and you'll get a recording so that you can listen to it again and again and again. The way that I do readings is we first dive into the chart, but I also have tarot cards, which I like to use at the end for any... Okay, a first message coming through.
Okay.
So in astrology, we kind of talk about this grand trio of the sun sign, moon sign, and the ascendant.
Okay, yeah.
So like I said, most of the people know their sun sign. And with the sun sign, it kind of represents our core. This is why so many people identify with it. And it also shows how we express ourselves the best.
So it is one that is maybe the most visible out of 3? Do you think?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not exactly. It's actually the ascendant that is the first thing that, like, the first impression that you give off. And with the sun, it's kind of like what we're moving towards.
Okay.
The qualities that we actually want to cultivate in our lives, right? The core. It can sometimes be interpreted as the ego, but then again, this is what we want to move towards.
Exactly.
Yeah. But here we need to be aware that, you know, there are 2 directions of this. One is the ego manifestation of what we want to achieve for the sake of recognition, for example, and what is the higher calling or
goal
purpose
or
that we kind of are moving towards.
Because the funny thing is, like, I think people they have always told me I'm like a Gemini. And also I think I find myself as a Gemini, I don't know, because I have like these 2 worlds inside of me, and it's a constant battle. Like, seriously, I have like a constant battle inside of me between this sensitive and sensible, you know, like reasonable and emotional.
But that's
side.
it. You know, not only Gemini that's usually kind of associated with like twins symbolism, right? But also Libra is always waiting options.
That's true.
Yeah, But
balancing it.
Yeah, so you can either look at it as a fight within, or you can look at it as a gift of having the ability to see things from multiple perspectives.
And I do. I like every day I'm reflecting, actually. I'm one of those people that like to reflect.
Wonderful. And that's great, because that also brought you here, I think. The open-mindedness. That is a trait of Gemini. Gemini Suns, it's very communicative, social sign. It wants to network, gather information, connect with people. And Libra and Gemini are actually like sister, family connected signs, because they're both air signs. Which an air is connected to the intellect. There's like a lot of mental, intellectual exploration. You are the person that would generate a lot of creative ideas, or just a lot of ideas in general. And it's always that kind of, rationalization component, but, there's also seeing it from other perspectives, like we said.
I think that comes really often into my life, like having these ideas, but then I have to kind of have them in this reasonable structure so that I can have the goal still, in front of me.
And we'll get to all of that. But with the sun sign, it's kind of like that, how we express ourselves the best. And I feel like with Gemini, it's usually, definitely through where your curiosity leads you. Because the ruler of Gemini is Mercury, which is all about our ways of thinking, processing, communication, and ways of learning. So I would say that you always like to learn new things, gather new information, that you also like to share with others. And, there has to be a diversity to your life. You might not be how are you with routines?
I like routines in a way that they are making some of the aspects of my life easier. Like the mornings, the mornings are always the same. I get up, I go to the bathroom, I clean my teeth. Not the toilet yet. That's after the breakfast.
First look at yourself in the mirror and be like, hey beauty.
Hey, gotta make myself even prettier.
That's a Libra Rising trait for sure.
But like this kind of habits that and I've read about this once, and it really got to me. Like, we are doing these small things, these rituals, constantly, these habitual things, so that we don't have to think about them, and we have time to think about other more important things. Not, okay, now I have to brush my teeth, but while doing this or going to the bathroom, I have time to reflect on something else in the morning,
But you see, Gemini is a mutable air sign, and the mutable quality makes it very flexible, very adaptable in a way. And like I said, it constantly seeks new inputs and outputs. So with a routine, if a Gemini wants to have a very rigid, structured routine, it can struggle. So how can you make even your routines kind of exciting and maybe add up some things here and then?
I think like by adding also people into the equation, I think.
Flamingos,
more flamingos. Yeah, but also I think the way I live now is not a very like ordinary structured life. I don't have like 9-to-5 job.
I bet you don't.
So, and I wouldn't want that. So I like being
that's the diversity.
And
having a lot of different interests. And kind of embracing the inside of you, because I feel like society can often try to put us into boxes. This is like, we go to university, we pick an area of study,
a profession, and
exactly. But like, thank God we're breaking these traditional structures. But even though you have a strong Capricorn, which like systems, structures, traditions.
I remember it well, yeah.
But you have an interesting combination here, which actually the whole of our generation has, with Neptune, the planet of mystery, imagination, higher visions, and Uran, the planet of surprises, of revolution, of like shaking things up, unique expression. So here you would kind of try to make these routines a little special, a little different. And,
like the rebellious part.
Exactly,
of me,
like bringing your own authenticity to it, and questioning the already existing structures. You don't want to do things just because this is how people do them, but you want to believe.
I want to believe in them actually. Because I think everything that I do, I don't want to do them just because it's said so, but...
And this is the intellectual component that because you have a lot of air in your chart. Also earth, but yeah, the air in the Grande 3, right? It's always about the intellectualization. You need to understand something in order to comply and to adapt it. And I think this is a very,
but sometimes I don't like it.
Exactly, there always has to be a balance between things, because sometimes we're not able to see everything and touch it.
And then I don't want to even have a strong opinion on it, for example, because I don't know, about adoptions or whatever. Like, I want to know everything before...
Okay, so let's get political.
No, let's not!
No, but I understand, because, your sun does sit in your 9th house, which is about like higher knowledge, belief systems, philosophies, ideologies. So I would say that you can be a highly opinionated person. However, the Gemini quality here encourages you to seek information, to really educate yourself, to look at things from different perspectives, and not just deep dive
or following blindly. Like,
exactly.
I hate this.
And with the 9th house, you want to also share the knowledge that you gather. You want to share the message that you have. And I feel like everyone carries an important message in this life. So to find what is your message, and here it's important that, yes, you do want to communicate it. And the way you communicate it can come in different ways.
I mean, I think I'm doing it with music, definitely.
Absolutely.
Like poetry and music. So.
Yes. And when I look at your chart, I can definitely see that artistic component. But, each sign, each planet, there's always like a lighter and a more shadowy expression. And when I say shadowy, I don't mean it like a bad or anything. The shadow is on just parts that are not so out on the surface, that might be deeper inside of us. And usually shadow work contains where the parts that we like to reject, either because the society told us so, or because we were shamed, guilt into it.
Or we don't want to have that. Maybe.
Yes, but then the question is why you don't want that.
Why? Yeah. Do you think that we know about these shadow traits, or do they come step by step?
Well, it's a matter of awareness, and that's why they like to give an example of peeling off an onion layers, right? It's definitely a process.
I think also I am one of those people that like to process things, on my own, because I don't think I would go to like a therapist or something. I like to explore it on my own and just go through myself on my own, and I think that's like, I don't want guidance here in a way, Like I want to guide myself through it, and I think that's the.
Oh, honey, you're making such beautiful bridges. I mean, you did cut me on the shadowy side of the Gemini, which is what a Gemini would do, It's kind of like, okay, no, I don't wanna, like some kind of manipulation can sometimes sneak in. Not bad intended, necessarily.
Not bad intended.
Just like...
Maybe I didn't even know I was doing it.
Yeah. But... yeah, that's a good bridge that you said, that you don't necessarily seek external guidance. And that's your Capricorn Moon.
Okay.
Right, and Moon represents our emotions, our emotional expression, the way we process emotions. The Moon represents what we like, what we relate to, and how we flow through life, right? The Moon is cyclical, it's the fastest moving object in our sky. And it also represents our heart, or like our heart's journey through this life. And yes, the Capricorn, the Capricorn is a very interesting sign, like stability, like security. Like you said, also some traditions. It's a very committed sign, hardworking sign, that wants to make things happen in life. And With Capricorn Moon in the emotional sphere, there can be this self-authority component of even though Capricorn represents authority and institutions, the more evolved Capricorn Moon would be no, I am my own self-authority.
So that's why
exactly. So it's a pretty nice expression that you pointed out. Exactly. But here, it can take on a lot of responsibility. You can take a lot of responsibility onto yourself of feeling like I need to do this alone, or I'm the only person who knows how to do this right.
Yeah, I think
does it ring a bell?
Yeah, of course. I think I definitely have this feeling that I know myself best.
And you
do this.
Yeah. However, your Libra Ascendant, even though we're now kind of jumping ahead because I have a whole Libra speech prepared, the Libra learns through relationships. And I mean, everyone in life learns through relational situations, right? So you do need others to be able to reflect
I do.
So, and not only that your moon is in Capricorn, it's also conjunct Saturn, who is the ruler of Capricorn.
Okay.
And conjunction means that they're very close together. So they influence each other. Their energies kind of merge. And Saturn is the planet that challenges us. It's a planet of restrictions.
So it means that this traditional part is also a challenge for me, or?
Well, it can be a challenge sometimes, although you have this rebellious energy together with Neptune and Uranus in the same house, in the same sign. So it's kind of like creating your own structures, your own traditions. It's or some,
like independency in this
definitely.
way.
Capricorn likes to be independent, and sometimes perhaps wants to do things likes to isolate them. Like Capricorns like to isolate themselves. Sometimes too much if the energy is strong. And here it would be kind of Saturn putting some emotional restrictions to your moon in a way that. You want to manage things and you want to create things, but that can then translate in wanting to always manage and control your emotions. But emotions are messy.
But I would, they are messy, but I think even with emotions, because I'm a little bit of a control freak, I want to have things
and this is
control.
The moon, how you relate to things, right?
So I even want to have, but I don't succeed, always.
Because this is not the course of life, I personally, my philosophy is that the highest form of control is surrender. That once you surrender, this is when you actually gain control. Otherwise, it's just the illusion of the ego of we're trying to control something that we don't even have control over. So what are you trying to do? It's kind of paradoxical.
It is, but it's still, I guess, this control freak in me that kind of has its power over.
But it's because you like to achieve things.
I am
this is the Capricorn. It's ambitious sign.
I actually just wanted to ask you, is the Capricorn the ambitious part of
Definitely. And actually you have a stellium in Capricorn. Okay. What does stellium mean? It's when you have 3 or more planets in the same sign or in the same house. And it kind of brings a focus to it. So creating structures, working for something that you see meaningful and purposeful. Capricorn wants to have that purpose something to
not
move
just
towards.
Not just because I'm doing it because I am doing it, but I want to have the reason behind it. And also I think personal growth, I think always.
Absolutely.
It's
Capricorn is wherever Capricorn is, it's kind of the area where we like to put a lot of effort into. And for you, it falls in your 3rd, 4th house, depending on the house system. And that would be in the area, in your inner self. In the way that you think, what you like to put your energy into in the intellectual way, the way that you communicate, just learning about your surroundings in this matter.
And this is an important, if I can just
definitely
have an input here. a very simple example I think of this is when I come into a new place, I always like analyze it in a way that I find the most comfortable and safe place for me. Like, for example,
beautiful.
I'm always very, very detailed about where I sit. For example, when you told me you're gonna sit here, I wanted to sit there, but you had your options with the computer, so I was like, okay. She's leading this, I'm gonna step down here. But for example, that space there is like, I feel the energy there. I would sit there if I could choose. For example, because I'm in the corner, I see everything around it. The light, the spaciousness, you know. So this would be maybe the example of what you said. Like, I always have this tendency of finding the most, even like this safe, like having the safe space in a new space.
And that's a beautiful example, because what the fourth house represents, it is actually governed by Cancer. And it does represent our sense of safety, how we feel safe in the world, right? And here it's definitely finding your piece of land in a way, because Capricorn is an earth sign. It's kind of likes to have their own time, their own space, to process their things. And also it's kind of like, well, I'm the master of my own affairs, so I know how to do it. Well, another thing that I wanted to say is that we always look at the opposite sign to balance where the stellium is. There's a lot of energy concentrated, right? And here would be like trying to control things, right? Capricorn, and then we would look at the opposite sign, the axis.
What is the opposite?
It's Cancer.
Okay.
And this is what you said before, which beautifully demonstrates it. When you're like, safety and where I feel the best.
Exactly.
Because Cancer,
like this energy again, you know?
Yeah. Because Cancer is the feeler, right? It's a water sign. It's a highly intuitive sign,
like emotional sign.
Definitely, yeah.
And I have a lot of Cancers around me, so. You know.
Okay, you have a strong Cancer in your chart as well. Like it's beautiful to see, because you have both strong Capricorn and Cancer, which would kind of indicate that you have this natural tendency to balance things out, you know. And it's again the Libra Gemini quality of seeing the broader perspective, seeing all sides of the story, and then making it your own.
Maybe that's why I decided for the name Balance, you know, because because I'm always looking for the balance in life, so it's like it's now even more. I mean, it's even clearer.
Yeah. You know, with Capricorn Moon, because the Moon also, and the fourth house, it represents our home. But when I say home, it's not only the home, the environment where we grew up, or the home that we create for ourselves. It's also the home within. With Capricorn, we can be pushed to mature quite early in our lives. To have a sense of duty to the world early on.
I don't think I had I had like this very safe place. The divine. Like I really had good upbringing, and I didn't have to be so responsible. Okay, I am the older sister, so I had this maybe feeling of putting things in place with my sister, you know, like
being a role model.
Because she is the naughtier one, you know, like.
Oh no! Is that even possible? Jesus! Still gotta make her.
Yeah. Anya, if you're watching this, but you know, I had this maybe even like mother figure at sometimes, like. I kind of taught her how to read, and you know.
Oh, definitely. There is also this Cancer component where it's like, you know, kind of being a mentor and a teacher, because it's very important to you. Also with Libra, how other people feel. Do they feel included? How are you feeling alright? But we'll get to that in a bit.
But this is also how I make my money mostly. You know, I teach.
You know, with this Capricorn Saturn Moon positioning, it's like you probably want to be taken seriously in life.
Yeah.
However, it's kind of again a balance of like, you know, do not play with me unless we agree that we are playing.
Exactly. And also like I think I make jokes about myself a lot, so it's not like I'm very serious with myself. Like okay, of course, at some points when you wanna be taken seriously, but like my sense of humor is also a little bit jokey towards myself. Because I'm being silly, you know? I guess this would be also here.
Well, you know what can happen both with Capricorn and Cancer is that it can kind of appear, well, no, Cancer doesn't really. Cancer likes to pretend it's tough on the outside and soft on the inside, but it's actually just soft, which is beautiful. But Capricorn can actually come across as a little cold sometimes. But are actually like, yeah, it's actually really warm and soft and vulnerable on the inside.
I guess also then the combination of,
for sure,
these signs.
For sure. And what I like about Capricorn, if you've ever had a Capricorn lover, they can be pretty kinky.
Okay.
So it's like, take me seriously, but when we play, we can play.
Okay.
But we have all the qualities, all the 12 signs inside of us, you know? It's not just your sun sign or your grande trio, right? It's all of the qualities that we possess. So with this Capricorn Cancer axis, it's kind of like, yes, hard work. It's probably putting your work and energy and effort into things that you find meaningful and that you feel like you're making some kind of a difference in life, and moving things along. However, what is the time frame that you put yourself in? Because Capricorn likes to have a frame.
Do you mean like
some kind of structure?
Like, you mean like periods in my life? How would I structure that?
Yeah,
or
here with the 4th house influence or the 3rd house, which is about the learning, our thinking style, etc. It's kind of like, what programs have we been given in childhood from the society? You know, what have we witnessed? What were we told? That kind of, added up to our belief systems and what we feel is possible for us to do.
Well, I think the year and like, the period which kind of, which I felt as a very, not life-changing, but I think I changed my way also of thinking, and I changed maybe even some aspects of me and how I want to see myself in future is I think when I was like 27, and I think it's also connected with, of course, having this student years behind me and becoming the adult in a way that I have to, make my own living and
well, congrats, you didn't die like the rest of the
like
stars.
27, right?
But actually, there's a really important astrological transition happening around the age of 27,
I see,
which is our lunar return. It is when the progress moon makes the way around our zodiac and comes to the same place it was when you were born.
So you're kind of reflecting, because I was really reflecting on myself.
Actually, this is the time when you emotionally experience the whole of yourself.
Like, I think I grew in that year.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it's weird.
Yes, because you go through all of the qualities that are inside of you and you finally patch the pieces.
And
so if you're younger than 27 and you don't really
know who you are,
it's
you're
okay.
Gonna find out.
Because the adult threshold or whatever it's called, in astrological sense, it's when we have our Saturn return, which is actually around the age of 29, 30, which is when a lot of people drastically change their lives. Like, okay, we're out of 20, whatever you're doing, So you've had that actually in the last year-ish.
Yeah. I think like it really kind of shaped, but not the ambitions. I think I still have the same ambitions, like you said, like I always want to do these meaningful things and don't want to be structured in this like 9-to-5 jobs, but I think I kind of found who I am more. Like I know myself in a way that I can say who I am. You know, like I know myself better than I did 5 years ago. I can definitely say that, and I know why I do things in a way I do them. So,
but also, what I like about astrology and all of its transits is that it really shows us that everything is constantly changing, right? So even though you feel like, oh, now I know who I am, I can express who I am, it's constantly changing. And we go along, and you get familiar with new parts of yourself, and you integrate them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like more than changing, I would even say like building up. Or
building up.
Yeah, you know, like
I would actually say unlearning. I feel like our life is mostly the process of unlearning what we have been programmed, what we've been given, the shitty conditionings and patterns that we have inherited, the family trauma. I'm now reading a book, It Didn't Start With You, which actually talks about inherited family trauma that gets transferred through our DNA. It's really fascinating, especially for anyone with
physical,
with strong like Cancer or fourth house energy, or Scorpios are always into these kind of topics. But yes, to also know where we come from.
Like the roots.
The roots. That's definitely the fourth house. It's an important understanding, I think, for all of us. When we said, where we come from, what we came with, and what we're meant to do in this life, in this manifestation, if you will. And this is where we bring in the concept of North Node and South Node. In Vedic astrology, they're called Ketu and Rahu.
Okay.
And North Node kind of represents our direction in life, the energies or the lessons that we came to learn, what we came to embody, to cultivate more of. It's kind of like not destiny, but our life mission in a way. And then on the other side, on the axis, opposite each other, we have South Node.
Okay.
And South Node represents energies that we came to release. It's usually something that we can be quite comfortable in because it's familiar. Some connected to past life energies, to our karma. Or it can also be just the childhood things that we cultivated. But yeah, it's kind of like what we're leaving behind, what we're transcending. And yes, your North Node is in Aquarius. And as we do this reading, it's the Aquarius season. One of my favorites!
Really?
Yeah, I love Aquarius. One of my favorite signs.
February.
Aquarius.
February. The most depressing month besides January.
Right. North Node in Aquarius that falls, depending on the house system, between your 4th and 5th house.
Okay.
And what I want to say about North Node in Aquarius, right? So it's kind of like, where you're moving in your life. What are the lessons that that your soul chose to learn? And it's about connecting and learning from energy systems that are bigger than just ourselves. It's kind of like having that wider perspective.
Is this maybe connected to this aspect of me, having like a big social circle also?
Definitely. I mean, it's connected to different things. Like Gemini, Libra, these are all social signs.
Like an important family,
especially with this 4th house stuff.
I find family quite important. I have
Absolutely.
Like, good relations.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're definitely going to touch more upon that too. But with Aquarius, it's kind of like looking for the higher meaning in things. And kind of connecting to many people and learning from the world, from like bigger experiences. Also learning how to contribute in the society, The Aquarius is the humanitarian archetype. And it's a very forward future thinking. How can we innovate? How can we make things better? Yeah, exactly. And also reflecting or realizing how you make a valuable piece of the whole, how you contribute to the whole.
So is it like an explorer kind of part?
Oh, it's definitely, but it's kind of like an innovator. It's more of a pioneering energy. It's definitely that explore through that, but it's kind of really stepping into your authentic expression, owning who you are, and being courageous enough to express it.
Like this authenticity part.
Definitely, that's the key word of Aquarius. And it's usually associated with like weirdos, eccentric, crazy geniuses that are usually
the outsiders or something.
Yes, exactly. But this is why it's important to find your tribe, the tribe that you vibe with. And with Gemini, I would say that you even can vibe with many different social circles. It's kind of like
Sometimes, yeah, I would say so, but I feel the most comfortable in
absolutely finding your place.
Yeah.
But then being able to kind of adapt
But
all
reach,
along.
reach also other groups.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, I think I would feel most comfortable in this. Not weirdos groups, but people
Creatives.
that have more like this. Yeah.
Because Aquarius is a highly creative sign.
Like thinking
So
outside
Libra
of the
and
box
Gemini.
in a way.
Yeah. And one of the lessons for Aquarius is developing the individuality and objectivity. And it's again that perspective shifts that we already spoke about, but also detachment is a key word for Aquarius.
So detachment, not attachment.
No, detachment, like a healthy detachment or healthy attachment. But here it's because of the South Node North Node axis, where your South Node falls into Leo. It's kind of detaching from taking things too personally, from seeking validation from the outside, confirmation of your worth and your authenticity, so that you can freely express yourself, your passion. And here with the 5th house, where your North Node is positioned in whole house system, it's really about your creative inner expression. It comes from within. Whatever brings you joy. 5th house is the house of joy and pleasure. Right, and it is a house of Leo and the Sun. It's like kind of that whatever whatever brings you joy.
I vibe with kind of like I don't necessarily think what other people will think of this expression of myself. I mean, of course, I always kind of have this fear. We all do, I think, of like seeking for validation, as you said, but it is still, I think, I wouldn't do. I don't know if I give an example. Music that I do, if I didn't have this feeling of detachment from this.
Exactly, because what Aquarius says, like, well, fuck it. I need to do this. It's kind of the calling that we have within. Yeah, and especially with Leo South Node, it's I think you are a person that's really good with connecting to your heart, with what you feel passionate about, and going for it. Leo is that leadership energy that I think comes naturally to you. And it's kind of inviting you to take risks to be seen and to do things differently. So by yourself, but also in collaboration with others, in like meaningful, creative ways, creating space for both and connecting to social circles, creatives, peoples, movements, organizations that are aligned with your values.
Because sometimes it's a bit, when you said this, leading aspect of me, like sometimes I find it tiring because I like to command and I want to, like this leadership commander.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's sometimes so exhausting because like I want to have, like I said before when we were talking, and I think this is connected to this control freak, which is connected, I think, with this commander or aspect of me, or like leadership.
That's Capricorn too. It's like, you know best.
So that's kind of still connected with
but here we gotta be careful, right? This is also the distinction that I like between like some psychological aspects and astrology, where the astrology offers us more fluidity, I feel, and not so rigid of like, this is your personality type, right? This is you, this is your trait. But we gotta be, it's all about the self-talk that we can be aware of, saying, because I'm a Libra, I'm indecisive, or because I'm a control freak. Well, you're putting yourself in a bracket, you're putting yourself in the ego identity.
But it's like introspecting,
Absolutely, and letting it's a trait that you might sometimes, it's an energy essentially.
Maybe this is the shadow.
It can be as a shadow aspect if you,
but
as a shadow, like we said, it's the part that you kind of reject a little, or you don't feel comfortable.
But maybe then it's not, because I don't reject it, I just said it's more tiring than
okay, I understand. But
it doesn't mean that I don't want to do it,
and this is the key with shadow. Shadow wants to be accepted, wants to be recognized and integrated. The healing process is not about, or growing, it's not about shredding traits that we don't like, but like owning our fullness. And this is what we also said about the control. Once you take it as yours and surrender to whatever is popping up, this is where you actually gain control, because that thing is not controlling you anymore. Yeah. So yeah, that's a beautiful example, I think. Yeah. So it's really with Aquarius North Node. It's like, do not hold back for anyone. It's really that quirky external energy that just wants to be expressed.
Yeah, I guess that.
And not looking for validation, but taking your existence and the ability to express as, you know, the highest validation that it is. It's good enough, right?
So, like, if I please myself in something, then that
please
would
yourself.
please yourself.
Pleasure yourself,
Pleasure
baby.
myself.
In the 5th house, for sure. It's really connecting to the things that bring you pleasure and leading from the heart, but also finding a greater purpose in it, which is what Aquarius does.
Is there something like, because I find myself also sometimes a little bit too hedonistic, in a way that, like, sometimes I put enjoyment or like joy and pleasure maybe before some reasonable choices that I
What
could
is
make,
wrong
you know?
with hedonism? What is wrong with choosing pleasure over the rational thing?
I think maybe this is something that the society, you know, is saying that it's not good. We have to be hardworking, like making money. But, you know, if I'm doing things that are bringing me pleasure, doesn't necessarily mean that this is also gonna bring me money, you know? If we are now talking also about this growing up, that if I reference it to that even. So again, these battles, you know,
or maybe it's just again a programming that we have been given. You know, why I feel like aren't we the most successful once we lead with our pleasure and passion and joy?
And that's why I kind of always try to find this middle ground,
which is Libra Ascendant. I actually created during the first quarantine a workbook for the integration after our reading. So it's like a 40+ PDF page where
you wrote it.
Yes.
Nice.
Where I go through all of the 12 houses and offer some reflecting questions for the integration.
Okay.
And some practices, meditation tips, some exercises. And there's a whole section on pleasure, actually. Not only sexual pleasure, but even like, what do you want more?
I have it, but it's so nice because it has this aftertaste, and I think it's definitely
it's soda bicarbona.
Soda bicarbona, you know, very cleansing.
Detoxification.
We're detoxing our bodies, our souls.
Cheers.
You know.
Right. So there's a whole section on pleasure. And I think claiming our pleasure, this is such a portal for like higher manifestation. Because with Capricorn Moon with Saturn, it is asking me, you know, it is a valid question that I would ask you if we were having a more personal session that wasn't recorded, or, you know, like, what is your relationship to pleasure? How much pleasure do you allow yourself to feel? How much do you allow yourself to actually feel sometimes?
I am a very sexual person also, so I accept pleasure very freely. Yeah, and I also like to give pleasure to others, so it's kind of like giving and taking, and
well, that's a beautiful balance
again, right? So yeah, I think I definitely allow myself pleasure as much as I need. But when it's sexual,
it's also not in other aspects
also
of life.
others, you know,
like how it makes us feel. Does it come with any guilt, any shame? Because that's a lot of the times.
Sometimes it comes with guilt if I connect it to what I said before, like instead of, I don't know, me reading a book, I prefer to watch a series, you know, like now I'm watching Sopranos, and it's a long series, so I know that, you know, I'm gonna have my evenings with myself, you know, and instead of, I don't know, reading maybe, you know, which is something I always wanted to do more. I usually read mostly in the summer when, like, on the beach or something. And I think for this year I haven't reached the goal yet for the books.
Oh, the goals, Capricorn Moon. Oh, what a surprise.
Yeah, I always have goals.
Yeah.
And I think this is also what is keeping me going, like having these small goals even.
Yes,
like,
yes,
not-
that's important.
Yeah.
To kind of have both.
Yeah.
Have the higher vision where you're going, but also divide it so that it doesn't become overwhelming for sure. Right, so like you're a very chatty person, which I love. That makes it a whole lot longer, the session. So it's only now that we're coming to your ascendant. So we already figured out it's a Libra ascendant. And you know, Libra is a beautiful sign. I have a stellium in Libra. I'm a Libra Sun, so I'm a little biased. But Libra is driven by harmony and balance. So yeah, no wonder that your band is called Balance. Even though we talk about, Libra is all about the balance, justice-oriented, equality, etc. It actually comes through, it is actually learning through extremes. And other people, because it represents relationship, the sign. But yeah, it kind of learns from extremes. You have
so I like to be in this extreme. I like to be in this extreme.
You know, it's kind of like, well, first you're given, you're creating or you're coming with from within with a lot of different poles, with a lot of different, with opposites. And then finding your middle path, your middle ground in the chaos. You know, it's not like because you're a Libra, you're born in balance. No. Your soul growth is to learn that. To learn
how to balance things out.
But with Ascendant, you know, it's kind of, like I said before, it's the sign, it's the first impression sign. It's what people usually recognize you for most easily. Because Ascendant or rising sign falls into our first house. So it kind of also, but it determines which signs are positioned in other houses. And it reflects in all aspects of your life. So it's kind of like whatever you're doing, you're always looking for the balance. And it's never a given, you know? That means that we gotta experience...
It's like a constant search, right?
Yeah, and we gotta experience all intensities of life. Which, you know, with the Placidus system, your first house, which represents personality traits, our outlook on the world, kind of like the lens through which we experience the world, the masks we wear in a way, because it, you know, it's the roles that we take on
and
in
play
life.
and
and that's why other people see it the most. And yeah, it sits in the first house, and in Placidus your first house also has Scorpio in it. So it's kind of that intensity.
And Scorpio is and you told me you're the Scorpio, right?
I'm Scorpio rising.
Rising.
Yeah, and Libra Sun.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Scorpio gives it depth. You know, it kind of gives it that deeper, more mysterious sometimes outlook that can, again, you know, it kind of varies, finding balance within. But what Libra likes to do is, like I said before, it's very considerate, sweet, it's an honest, charming sign. It can be a little flirty with everyone, but initially you are a little flirty. I'm a pink.
I'm a pink flamingo.
I'm a pink flamingo.
But yeah,
it's a charming component, but
like once you stand out in a way also.
But with a flirtiness aspect, it's not necessarily flirty because you want everyone to, although Libra likes to be liked by other people, but it's also you want others to feel comfortable around you. You want others to be heard and understood in the same way that you want to be heard.
And sometimes this is so annoying because if I'm in a group of people and I see that one is not comfortable, and if that person is a friend of mine, I'm not gonna be bothered with someone who I don't, you know,
do not care.
Or maybe I met that day, but if it's somebody who I care about, I want that person to feel comfortable. And in the past, I used to be affected a lot by this, and it made me feel then uncomfortable. But I think now I'm kind of finding this way of how to approach this situation. So I kind of maybe sometimes confront that. Usually it's a Cancer person.
Well, it's always about boundaries, putting healthy boundaries, which I also have a whole section in my work about.
So read the PDF that is going to be a book.
Well, no one actually. I can count how many people have actually worked through the workbook that I usually send at the end of the workshop session. So I'm actually thinking about doing a whole course that we can do together, so that people, so that it motivates you. However, topic for another day. What I wanted to say is that this aspect of wanting others to be seen and understood can sometimes make you put your own needs aside so that you can maintain peace. This is where that people pleaser term comes in, or codependency, because it can be like a sense of knowing that everything is interconnected and there has to be balance in all poles for the thing to be sustainable, right? So it's kind of like taking on other people's feelings and perspectives sometimes. There has to be like a filter of that.
But I think I kind of learned how to maybe block this.
Yeah. Well, block or
at least having it
to work with it.
Exactly, work with it in a way that I'm still gonna be comfortable in the situation.
Yeah. It's a gift, what we said at the beginning, to have the ability to see different perspectives, to put yourself in shoes of others. However, how to energetically not take it on, just like, how to stay grounded in yourself. And and also because you are able to see different sides of each story, this is where the notion of that Libras are indecisive comes in. It's not that Libras are necessarily indecisive. It's just that, well, there's a lot of different options, possibilities, scenarios to consider, and sometimes it takes a little more time for you to decide. There's a really awesome trick with Libra and indecisiveness is like letting others decide, and then you know what you want.
And you know what is my recipe here?
What?
I usually wait until the energy gives me the sign.
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful.
If I don't necessarily need to make choice in that particular moment, I'm usually like taking it slow and like having it brought to me by not necessarily person. It can also be a person, but it can also be a coincidence. I kind of believe in these coincidences. So if I want to buy like a really, really weird maybe example, but if I want to buy myself a new guitar, I'm not gonna go like searching it like in a way that it's good enough, but I need something that will also.
You're a big feeler, I know.
Yeah. That's why I also don't shop online, because I need to feel the clothes.
I getcha. And the ruler of Libra is Venus, the planet of love. So for Libra, it's the beauty, aesthetic aspect is very important. It's also kind of like looking
aesthetic,
for,
right?
Exactly, making things pretty, making your space comfortable.
This is a good point that you made, because I always, everywhere I come, and this is also maybe similar to what we said before, that I like to find myself, in a comfortable position. Like I want to see things that I'm safe and all that.
And knowing this aspect about you, it gives you the advantage that when you are in a situation that you feel like you might be nervous or whatever, what you can do to bring yourself, to make yourself more comfortable.
Exactly. And like I always make this, if I come, to a friend's place, I'm always gonna maybe having a look around so that I know where things are. And
I mean, you visited 3 different places of mine, and every time
this is the 4th. Oh, what do you have here? Oh, this is the mirror. Nice.
Cool. I'm gonna have this and that. beautiful, knowing what you want, right?
Kind of,
but sometimes it's okay if it takes you a while to get to this decision. And why I say that is because your Venus, the ruler of your ascendant, is in Taurus. Again, a sister sign of Libra.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's kind of
because Venus rules both in traditional astrology, both Libra and Taurus. Yeah, just in general astrology actually. Yeah, and Taurus is also about luxury, of finding comfort. It wants to feel secure and stable in things. Taurus is representing 5 senses as well. So, you kind of want to, and Venus represents what we value. So you really want to immerse yourself in things, I think, that makes you feel that gives you that beauty shot and that comfort.
I don't want just something because it's there.
And with the 5 senses anecdote, it's kind of wanting to see it, touch it, feel it, smell it, and this is why decisions can sometimes take time, because you can see it all and you want it all. You want the full experience of it.
Exactly.
Sometimes it can become indulging, but also knowing when it's okay to indulge in things. Why shouldn't we? Yeah. So, but knowing how your rhythm, your natural rhythm, And both Libra and Taurus are relational signs. So it's again kind of seeing the world through your relationships and relational lessons. Learning a lot about yourself through being in relationships.
The partners that I choose are usually like artists. I always had like this artistic people in my life.
Both Libra and Taurus are artistic signs.
And this aesthetic which you mentioned, so...
But then you also pair it with the 5th house, which is kind of like the more casual dating aspect of love. And the 7th house that is ruled by Libra is the more intimate one-on-one relationships. Not only romantic, it can be like close friends.
So ruled by Libra here. Okay.
Ruled by Libra, yeah. And, it's kind of that very giving, pleasurable energy. That excitement in relationships is also important, and indulging in the passionate aspects. Also being led by impulses. When you said the unusual partners, it's, I actually wrote down in my notes when I was preparing the unusual lovers, because 5th house Aquarius. Aquarius is the unusual,
it's the emotional
component.
One? Or no?
5th house of like more dating, or like what we feel attracted to, what we feel drawn to. And it definitely is that unusual, eccentric, weird, artistic, outspoken people that are a little rebellious and forward thinking. And how to, it's kind of again going to different extremes. It can be like, oh, now I need a lot of my space and my individuality, and then at the same time it's kind of like, oh, merging together and building life together.
And I think it also like stimulates this part of me, this artistic, bizarro, outsider part of me, which I like to kind of explore in myself. Having this kind of partner, it always kind of
however, here in your chart I see both poles of being like, I want it interesting, diverse, deep, because it falls into the 8th house of like depth and like deep intimacy, sexuality. It is ruled by Scorpio, so it really dives, right? But in Taurus, it also seeks stability and safety.
Yeah, exactly.
It's again having this eccentric, wild relationship, but within, some kind of framework regulated.
And this is what I've learned in, recently, that this is also what I'm searching and seeking, is this a little bit more stability. So I think it was really cool for the 20s, but now I'm kind of, I know that I want maybe something a little bit more stable and maybe comfortable in this way, that I feel more secure and safe.
I understand. And also looking at your transits, you have this 5th, 8th house squaring happening throughout 2020 and into 2021. In 2021. It's you have both Mars and Uranus currently in your 8th house, and Uranus is gonna be in the 8th house of like sharing and exchanging with others, also in a very intimate sexual level, for another 5-ish years. And this is really changing the foundation of how you relate to others, how you decide to merge and connect with other people, what you even look for in relationships. And here with Aquarius squares, it can bring a lot of healing of old conditionings around relationships, the traits, patterns that you feel like no longer fit into your life. It can be working with some old relational wounds, or even with someone from the past, because the 8th house kind of looks into the past, like deeper. But
I mean, I think it's definitely something like you said here.
It's basically building a new foundation. Of how you want to approach this. You know, it can also be just a very hot, passionate lovers and affairs. Because the thing with Uranus and Aquarius is that it's very unpredictable. And this is where we exercise detachment. People can come into our lives very intensely and easily, but so they can also exit their life. So that's very important. But you know, when it comes to relationships, when I look at your 7th house and whole house system, you have Aries with Mars, which is a very strong position here. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's that impulsive energy, that primal gut feeling that kind of drives us. And Mars is actually its ruler, so it's really strong in Aries. It's kind of that determination of like, I know what I want and I'm going for it.
Is it the fire?
It's
sign,
a fire.
right?
It's a cardinal fire. It's like wanting things exciting. It's like keeping it spicy and moving.
I have 2 Aries in my family, like dad and my sister, and definitely what you're describing. In a way, like this very impulsive, strong, and very also, I think, emotional in a way.
You know, but because Aries is very much connected to the primal energy, to that fire inside of you. And being very clear on your needs and desires in relationships, I think it's very important, not only for this positioning, but in general. However, with the Aries in 7th house, Aries can be very much about me, like my energy, my expression, my needs. However, I think it comes quite naturally to you to also consider your partner's, lovers' needs and desires because of the Libra component here. You know, we always try to balance. Exactly,
Because I can be a little bit, I think, narcissistic in a relationship. Like sometimes I not forget about the needs, but I put myself first.
Well, we can call it narcissistic, or we can call it
survival skills
and not settling for less. But it's about the way we approach it. It's the how. It's rarely the what, but it's the how we communicate it. That is very important. Do you have any other questions around your relationships?
With relationships, like you mentioned, right? This new, something new will happen. And I didn't tell
something
you
new
yet.
always happens.
But I don't think I would like to share it here, but I will tell you, I mean, maybe later. But I have like a new person. I mean, it's not a new person, but it is seen in a new way. So it's definitely life-changing.
I bet, because there are so many transits happening in the 5th house of love and romance. I feel like with Mars in Aries, and correct me if I'm wrong, once you know what you want, you expect it to be.
I want it there and now.
So it's also kind of cultivating, with whatever I'm doing, people I'm connecting with, how can I be also patient with what I expect from others? It's not necessarily managing expectations. I don't really like that term. But being aware of what expectations you have, why you have them. Are you aligned with them? Are they true to you? Because so often we just pick up what we've been told and what we witness, what we learn throughout.
Because it's easier.
It's a default. It's not only.
But I think it's easier for people.
Sure. But there's a big thing of saying like, oh, you always have a choice. And yes, I believe we always have a choice how we want to proceed, what we decide to do. But sometimes this choice runs deep. Especially with certain traumatic incidents from our childhood, things we've been told, it can run deep and it can be a gradual process of moving through. it's not an easy solution. But yeah, letting things unfold in your own, just being aware of what you expect from others and yourself, because I know that you can be quite picky on yourself with high expectations towards yourself, because Virgo in the 12th house of like inner processes
and this ambitious, I guess, part of
Virgo
me.
is also hardworking, it's an organized sign. You want to understand things, again, rational sign. But here it can be quite nitpicking sometimes, because it has the ability to see the details, to really understand processes. It can strive for perfectionism, and that can become quite anxious.
Yeah. I think this part of me wanting to be perfect in some aspects, also like led me to compulsive disorder that I had, like was this dermatillomania or whatever, which is similar to trichotillomania, which is like picking your hair, but I wasn't picking my hair, I was picking my skin, and it was really bad. I like had all these wounds, and it wasn't good, but I kind of I'm better with this now, but it was a big part of me in the first part of my 20s. Like it was really something that I had to work on, and I think it reflected maybe this perfectionism in me on the outside.
I definitely understand that, because the 12th house, it's the last house of the zodiac, and it's also called the hidden house, the house of isolation, right? Because it represents our subconscious processes. It's not always something that we're immediately aware of. It takes some time, some work, dedication, tuning into ourselves to uncover these areas. And what I like to tell Virgo, because Virgo is a very precise sign, what I always like to tell Virgo is drop more into the body. When things get too much, too anxious, or how can we connect more to the body? Because Virgo is about the body, mind, soul connection. And it's about embodiment initially. So also because you have quite strong air in your chart, although it is balanced by Earth, which represents this beautiful unity of running your more abstract processes through your body. How do you feel about things? Where does anxiety even manifest in your body? For you, it was this.
It was the face.
It was the face. Interesting.
It was the face, which is the visible, the really visible part of a human. You cannot cover it by clothes. So it was, I think, something that manifested in a way of making myself, I don't know, like just. I don't know, not so attractive in a way, because I was like I like to be attractive, and I think in this way I was making myself less attractive, and I was punishing myself in a way.
It was probably the self-worth component again.
I guess, and I think but it's changed at that 27, 26, which before we were talking about. So. I still pick my skin sometimes, but it's like
it's a habit.
It's a habit, but it's much, much better. So
that's the thing. It's awareness of it, but often just once you shine the light on these shadows, you don't often need to even deal with it. It just kind of like evaporates and integrates once you accept.
When I felt better about myself, like more self-worth. Worthy, then it gradually is diminishing in scale of, I don't know, 1 to 10. Now it's like 3 or 2, but it was like 10 7 years ago. So it's a big change,
evolution. Today, as we speak, when I look at your transitions, you actually have Venus on your north node, which is kind of like lighting up your path of life, and kind of bringing that value to it. Kind of feeling like where I'm going is good.
It's good, right? Like I'm seeing clearer.
Exactly. And you always also have Jupiter, the planet of abundance, expansion, and Saturn, which kind of makes things a little real. It's like a reality check, close to your North Node and Venus. So it's kind of like being able to ground this perspective, this vision of your life, where you're going. So this is like a great time to reflect on that. Like, where am I now? Where am I going? And why and how? And kind of like, or with Aquarius, we don't always need to know the how. We just need to know the why. And that kind of leads us, right? Because it's like the higher vision that comes through. And not letting yourself be rushed in these manners. Because Taurus is a slow-moving sign, and that is because it wants to experience everything to the fullest. So Taurus doesn't like to be rushed. And you not only have Venus in Taurus, but also Mercury, right? The planet of communication, thinking style. So it's also like really coming, do not rush me with decisions. Do not rush me with my learning process. I'm gonna learn deeply, but slowly in my own rhythm. Like, whose fucking timeline are we on? Our own.
My own,
Exactly. Honor that. Honor that. For sure.
And we had this conversation, you know?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But it's a really beautiful positioning over here, you know, because it kind of brings the very earthly Taurus with very deep emotional spiritual Scorpio together. It's again the axis, and you know, it's kind of seeking beauty in everything, also on deeper levels, not only on the, because Taurus can get a little materialistic sometimes and just like, okay, what can I accumulate and gather? So to know that, okay, but why do you want that, you know, because Scorpio is asking about the why of the whys, of the whys,
going deep into the why, the reasoning.
And like, it's really about seeking the best of life and not settling for less, and owning that like, well, no, I'm sorry,
I'm worth it. Right?
Fuck yeah. And this is the key word for Taurus, actually. Self-worth. Worth in general. So in the workbook that you're also gonna go into, where do you put your self-worth in, right? Like, how do you do?
How do you show yourself? Like,
what is your relationship to your self-worth? What defines it in a way? And I think this is a pretty big question for you, because you have Pluto, the planet of deep transformation, in your second house that belongs to Taurus, of self-worth. In Placidus, it also fits into your first house. So Pluto, it's a generational planet, and it's been in Scorpio since 1983 to 1995. Okay. So it's all of our generation that is kind of working with this energy. And Pluto is about letting go. It's something that is rushed through us internally, that needs to be let go of externally, that doesn't serve us anymore. Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, so it's like it's a home sign, and it's really about death and making space for the rebirth. It's shredding.
So it's kind of, shredding, like my gecko. Just shred, like 2 days ago.
You know,
it's a nice aspect, that you can just like eat.
It's a symbolism of it's a symbolism of phoenix.
Change,
you know, and
reborn.
The house where Scorpio, this house where Scorpio resides is the house where we make the biggest difference in other people's life. And it's also where we experience deep transformation, soul growth, evolution, where we experience maybe power dynamics, or where we exercise our own power. And when it falls into the second house, it's the biggest transformation comes from your personality, your influence on the world, just the way you are, the way you show up. It's basically your personality. And Scorpio in the first house can mean that you can go through several changes through life, of how you see yourself and how you relate to the world.
And do you think like also in this manner you then have different aspect of your worth, like you
absolutely, and this is the other thing, that the way that you would change your outlooks and your personality is through learning about your self-worth, what you're worth, and where your values lie.
So I think values are like a very important aspect of one's life. You know, you have to make you have to make like a list of values in your head,
which is in my workbook.
And I think also if we are now referring back to the relationships, like romantic relationship, I think like it's good to be with a person that has the same values or like similar values. Because like if you have different values, it's just not going to work. Like I think I found out, at least for me, I think I need, like, it's good to have someone who shares the values.
At least the core ones.
That doesn't
mean that we're the same people, but it's kind of, definitely. And to be open about it, talk about it openly, for sure. But for that, you need to first really be in touch with your own values.
Exactly.
And you know, this Pluto in Scorpio is really asking our generation to go deeper into our psyche, to connect with our sexual urges, to like explore intimacy, do the shadow work. Scorpio is all about the shadow work, integrating this.
If it goes so deep, of course, it goes through the shadows as well.
It's like deep healing and experiencing extremes, like extreme intensities of life, embracing it all, learning through it, and growing through it. And for you, like I said, it's mainly manifests through your personality and outlook on life, but not only values, but also your relationship to money and material possessions, which is represented by the second house.
So what did you find out here?
Well, it's an important aspect for you, I believe, because you also have Mercury, Venus in your 8th house that is ruled by Scorpio. So it's actually exercising, it's kind of like a power play. And here my question would be, what does success mean to you? When do you feel successful? And how
cool question.
How are you willing to share it with others? How are you willing to collaborate? Because Scorpio is about collaboration. How are you willing to collaborate with others in a trustworthy manner? How can you trust yourself and other people so that you move together towards that success? Because you are a social person. Well, we are all social beings, but for you, I feel like this is a very important aspect of your life.
It is, I think.
And with Scorpio, the trust always comes through. How are you able to trust yourself with decisions, with your value system, with where you put your energy
and
into
self-worth
and intentions? But self-worth always reflects. I think self-worth is at the core of all our problems. That we usually complicate ourselves. So the self-worth aspect, extremely important. The whole chapter in my
when you're holding it. But success, like you asked when I feel like successful, or how do I define success?
How do you define success for yourself?
I think when I am pleased with myself. So again, we can go back to this pleasure. So if I'm happy with what I'm doing, like I think it's connected a lot with happiness. And if I feel that I've put a lot of effort in it as well, and this brought me happiness also because maybe I'm also giving something to others and I can express freely. Because, for example, what makes me happy is doing music, of course. And that's why I have this in mind while now explaining. So for example, it makes me happy to have the opportunity to express myself. And I feel successful on stage when I see that also others grab something from it or grasp some meaning.
That's a contribution to the world, to the society where your north node lies.
You know, I think
but,
I would find
that maybe this expression is enough. That it doesn't need to be validated from others to be like, oh, you're doing a great job. But no, the expression alone is enough. I think this is an important distinction. But to also know this about you, about yourself, it's such a game changer, you know.
But I also know that I'm competitive, you know, so I'm a competitive person. I think I can definitely say that about myself.
And this Scorpio Pluto is teaching you about that, I think. It's kind of, that's the power play that I mentioned before, right? How can you, what are the intention, like, how do you work with others in a aligned way for yourself, whatever that means to you?
Yeah, I mean, I always want to have some kind of control, but I also listen to, you know, if a person tells me something and I care about that person, I respect that person's opinion. Maybe I'm not gonna be on board in that particular moment, but I'm going to think about it and it might change my opinion. So I'm not like blindly following maybe everything that the person tells me, because I still have these strong opinions already in me, especially if it's something, you know, if we're going back creating music, like I know what sounds good to me, and it's going to be hard to maybe change the direction of this stream of thoughts. But I think I take into consideration what people tell me. I don't ignore it.
It's again about the balance. It's always about a freaking balance. Yeah. And when we speak about the service to the world that we have, you know, whether through our job, our career, it can be many ways. The work that we're actually physically meant to be doing in this world, like our actual job, is actually represented by our rising sign, usually. You know, and here with your Libra rising, it's about like artistic expression, essentially.
So we're going back to this music.
It's like if I'm, it's like aesthetics and making things beautiful and fair and bringing peace and harmony. But also, you know, it's kind of that, it's still irrational, it's a masculine sign actually. So it would be like a lady boss of artistic expression. Yeah. Something that's communicator, something that brings the intellectual component there too. It can be like a mediator or just, But when it comes to actual career, we look at Meet Heaven or MC that we haven't spoke about yet. And it kind of represents what are we trying to do for people. It's the why we do what we want to do. And your Meet Heaven is in Cancer between the 9th and the 10th house, depending on the house system. Yeah, Cancer. Again, Again, it's a water sign, and water sign that's connected to emotions. It's again some kind of creative work, some kind of visual work even, but with a nurturing, caring component, you know, and that is again about wanting. Cancer is really connected to others, wants to meet other people's needs, wants to make them happy, feel nurtured, connected with emotions because it's a water sign. So not only that you want to do something that where you feel good and seen and understood.
I also want to make others feel good.
And I feel this is the artistic exchange that you actually do with your art. And it's where you can feel at home, because this is the Cancer, how you can feel at home. And in the 9th, 10th house combination is actually when you're putting your philosophy, your artistic expression, your vulnerability, emotional processes outside, because the 10th house is the most visible house of the zodiac. It's the house of reputation, our career in a way. So it's what other people see you for, you know. And this is whatever you're doing so that it is meant to be shared in this loving way, and you want to have this flow in your career, not some rigid structure necessarily. You know, Cancer wants to be flexible. It's water sign, so it's ever changing.
Luxus.
Definitely. And I mean, obviously, everyone wants to be happy with their career, but for you, it can really bring a sense of safety in the world. You know, to feel good about what you're creating. It has to be
I definitely have to feel good about what I'm creating. I definitely cannot do things just because like this is something that somebody ordered me or wanted.
And it comes from within, right?
Right?
Cancer,
exactly.
emotions. It's governed by your intuition, even whatever you feel drawn to. And you know, here you have a conjunction between Chiron, which is asteroid, Chiron. It is called the wounded healer. It represents our wounds and our way of healing them. And it is in conjunct with Jupiter, the planet of expansion, of abundance. So
does this connect with materialistic things, with this abundance?
With the desire for recognition of your inner processes,
like inner
creative
ego,
expressions. I wouldn't say, you can call it inner ego, sure, but here, inner self, your essence, because Cancer is the roots.
But is this connected with self-validation, or is it again like this validation from others? What do you think?
In the 10th house, it's kind of like others witnessing you in your full expression. That is important, and it is, it's a very healing thing if you can be witnessed in our processes. It's about sharing
this kind of
our gifts, essentially. And this Jupiter here in Cancer, it makes you a big feeler, and it's like that desire,
touchy-feely,
indeed, that desire to help people and support them also in their quests with like your loving and compassionate energy.
I always support people, that I care for, definitely, like giving them push, and
this is why you do what you do, right? It's kind of that giving component.
Because I wouldn't necessarily say, that I'm mostly a giver. Like, you have people that just give themselves for others. But it's like, I definitely have this, especially really with people that I really care for. I want really to push them towards the best that they can be.
Which is beautiful.
Again,
we want to be surrounded with this kind of people.
Exactly,
I feel like, that's the mastering of relationships, to inspire each other. And you definitely have that. Also with Mars in Aries, it is that motivator, like when you feel connected to something, you can spark that in other people too. With, this position would kind of suggest that you feel comfortable being in the public eye, hence why you said yes to doing this right away.
I guess.
But
definitely.
You also want to have your private space to retreat, so that there's a balance between that. Home is still very important, especially because it is represented by Cancer. Cancer is this soft, sensitive, sentimental, vulnerable sign, and with Chiron over here, it shows that this is your gift. This is your strength, this vulnerability. It can indicate some inner childhood wounds or old conditionings, patterns again. Maybe as a child you were very expressive and it wasn't always met in the most friendly way.
I don't think it's that. No. I always was like, they always let me be who I wanted to be.
It's not necessarily only family, it can just be society, of like being this loud kid that everyone's like, okay, shh. It can come in subtle ways.
Yeah, maybe then it's something, it was maybe influenced by something else, because I never felt like I was in any way, how would I say, set back, or like being set back by.
That's beautiful to hear.
I think it's good. Like I definitely think I had like a comfortable childhood, and maybe like growing up, and maybe even school. Okay.
And I think this can be that gift, that strength that is shown here, of showing others how to be in their vulnerability, how to express themselves like their full emotional palette, and owning it, being very kind of public about it, very transparent.
Yeah.
Making it
I never wanted to hide who I am.
Exactly, and showing others that it is okay to do that. Showing in your full expression. Like I said, Chiron shows where our gifts lie too, and this can definitely indicate that for sure. I wanted to end this on one transitional note, and that is that I noticed in your transitions that your south, the collecting north node, the north node that is currently 2021, moving through Gemini, it actually crossed your sun at the beginning, the first half of November, right? And it's kind of like elevating your life path, your current life path, right? North node crossing your sun, and actually the sun in that time was on your Pluto, which was kind of also going through this deeper transformation of how you are putting yourself out there, or how you allow yourself, what you allow yourself to manifest. You also had your Mars return, the planet of action, that was in Aries in your 6th house, according to Placidus, which was the house of work, job, what we do, our service to the world. And then there was the whole Capricorn mass happening, that was coming from within you, or what you were putting out there as well. It's kind of a combination of many components.
I'm thinking about, definitely that career, maybe like more how I want to establish my position in like.
And isn't that when your album was released?
It was in November. November.
I thought it was interesting how all of this elevated when you actually birthed something that's probably pretty personal to you.
It was definitely, even like putting now the face even on the cover,
Yeah, can we see?
Let's see.
But that's definitely, that leadership, that Aries Leo component that wants to be seen. Yeah. Oh, sam pravam. Just saying. And Andrei on the back, So. Hi, Andrei!
Andrei, next session!
The Cancer. So we could do the whole astrological chart for things as well, for album.
Nice.
But I just thought it was interesting. And
this is good, because it wasn't the first thing that I thought of, the album. When you said November, I knew there was something in November!
We'll chat about it.
But it's like all this, and this was success. If we connect, this was success.
Also Kappa Records,
shout out.
Dominica. Hey.
But it was that like personal success also, So it was one of the things that we can now count when we were talking about like this personal success. I think having this released, it was a lot of work.
Stay, Christina. No, definitely I can imagine. And even when I look at your 8th house that we mentioned before, that also represents business, finances, etc. I immediately saw Taurus and Gemini, and the thought that I had was art through communication, or even through words.
Again, poetry, like I'm writing,
Exactly,
so.
and even music is written words, like symbols, and I think it's beautiful. It's always beautiful to see that the chart actually reflects the person in his life.
I think you really did a very good in-depth
well, that's just an overview.
Like an overview, but it was really cool. So people go to Eva for these things because it's nice, and it's like you kind of gave me some points to think about again. So
and that's the purpose of it.
I know what I'm gonna do this evening when I'm gonna smoke one.
The first card that fell out was the Page of Pentacles, which is definitely like birthing something new. Nice. And I definitely think that looking at your transits, I do think you're on the verge of birthing some new creative expression, some new way of
Like expressing myself? Or,
yeah, for sure. Because we have Mercury retrograde in your 5th house right now. You know, it's kind of finding new ways, new directions that you want to channel your creative energy into. And I feel like this Page of Pentacles kind of represents that, you know, holding that golden light from within, sitting on like a golden coin
with an owl.
Yeah.
Oh my god, is that a dragon? Are you fucking kidding me? If this is a dragon, then
it is a dragon. Why?
Because dragon is my favorite animal.
You do not say. Oh my lord.
Oh my lord. This is perfect.
I love your reaction.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so what is this dragon from within trying to express? What kind of fire are you ready to like blow out?
Yeah. This is something that I still have to find out, I think, and it's going to be something.
And this, you know, the page, the page is kind of a messenger in a way. So it's kind of pointing you like, what is it that you already hold within with this
fire torch.
The wisdom the wisdom from within that is ready to like burst out.
I think it's like things from the past that I have contemplated and I have reflected on, and like having this power of being on the dragon. So it's like courage.
You're riding the dragon,
you know? Yeah, it's like courage and beauty of the dragon. Nice.
Awesome.
So
I'm so glad that it resonates with you. You know, and
really
that's the thing. We will always find something. And this is what wants to come through. It's not about the meaning of this card necessarily, but how we connect to it and what we make out of it. It's storytelling, man.
And it's also like a little bit dark, so it's like, you know, with these faces. So it's like going through. Yeah, it cannot be just the light.
It cannot be the light. No light without darkness.
Yeah. You can't appreciate the light if there's no darkness.
Can I get an amen? Amen! Okay, and for this one, we'll keep it private and I'll give it to you later on. My dear, my flamingo.
Yeah.
It was beautiful to connect with you in this way. Thank you for trusting me to open
Thank you for
your soul blueprint.
Thank you for having, you know, me and like spending time with research.
I love doing this. Please, folks, please.
Can we even let's see. I think it was 8 hours. Can we even hug even though it's like Corona times?
No, I mean there's a weird barrier over here.
Nice.
Maybe
I think you really did like a good reading.
Thank you. It's a little different being on camera with it.
But we're gonna have a more private sesh.
Yes, and I'm always open for, you know, after the recording, you're always welcome to contact me with everything, anything. Also when going through the workbook, any questions pop up, I'm always available, and I love to do this. And I'm really happy that I also have comebackers.
Comebackers, yeah.
Comebackers.
People that come back.
People that come back. The returners. But for the good reason. Yeah, to then, you know, kind of dive deeper into transitions or certain topics.
Or some, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Also going through workbook, you maybe realize, oh wow, fuck, I didn't even know I had challenges in this area. So can I maybe, because it's, you know, it's a big responsibility doing these chart readings too. I feel like that's why it's so important to know what astrologer you go to, because if someone just foretells your future, it can really limit you.
But I don't want this. I never wanted like this, because then it's no fun. I want to go through life like exploring. So
that's a great outlook.
Yeah, I don't want to like someone telling me what I'm gonna be. No. I'm gonna.
However, you know, I feel like knowing astrological energies, for me, it helps me be more aware of what's
but this
happening.
is different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not like
kind of
who you're gonna be or this is your destiny.
It helps you navigate your life. It makes it more manageable.
That's
why, because we have such pretty symbols of like Leos and Libras and like
and it's nice illustrations.
Yeah, carrot.
Yeah.
Alright!
Alrighty.
Survived!
Thank you guys.
Thank you for watching.